quite.
We're going to learn something today.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to become smart.
What's the topic?
School to prison pipeline.
My cousin was on that.
What do you mean?
He went from school to prison.
Oh, nice. We should have him on. He can explain it. I don't know if anybody's up. I suppose there are other people in different time zones. Timelines?
Maybe that's how you jump timelines. You just jump time zones.
Yeah. Certainly. Or just change your social media provider to one that's not managing timelines.
Oh, yeah. That should be easy enough.
I don't know. I wonder why YouTube doesn't.
Everyone's streaming?
Everyone's dreaming. Dreaming of Brave New World. I'm trying to think what that could possibly be, but my mind is having trouble with it.
What?
School to prison pipeline.
Must be a thing that rich people talk about.
I mean, that's going directly in the face of America itself. Herself.
Yeah, but it keeps the prisons full. And that keeps them, the money going.
Schools ought not to pipeline you to prison, though, right?
They ought not to, but it makes monetary sense for them to produce dumb kids that don't have hope for their future and get caught up in other bullshit. And then...
So the argument is that you're more likely to end up in prison, generally speaking, if you go to school than if not.
Is that it?
I don't know. I want to see if any. That's why I want to see if any of the viewers have an idea before
That's
I actually
awful.
before I see what Google has to say about it.
Yeah, because your viewers are more informative than Google could ever possibly be.
Google self-censors quite often. I think Google has identity crisis issues.
Why?
Because they're always censoring things. It's its own self.
It's itself.
It's itself. It's like, no, self, you're not allowed to do this part.
It's very fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to have to do a lot of self-work to go back to wholeness.
Yes, Google.
Collect all its fractals.
Yeah. Google has an identity crisis.
It's just a reflection of us.
Yeah. Who's the one person here? I have one person. Who is it? And do you know about school to prison pipeline? And are schools advertising this?
No. They're advertising the army.
School to prison pipeline. So what's the alternative?
They're just saying that our schools are so bad that they're pipelining kids into prison rather than into like productive lives.
I know,
Or-
but there has to be an opposing viewpoint. if you have
Of course.
in your head schools are horrifying and they're sending kids directly to jail, then what's the opposing view?
They're sending them to Harvard.
That's a school.
And then they're sending them to cubicles. Which is also a form of prison.
No. The ones who are proposing this are the ones that I can't imagine who would propose that. Like it's a political thing, right?
Google it.
Since nobody's watching, we're just gonna have fun and look at this ourselves.
Ourselves.
Google has statistics, facts, lots of things.
Get those numbers.
Got it. Images.
Mm.
There's the school. There's the prison. There's the pipeline. I guess there is a pipeline. School, pipeline,
Prison.
In the United States, the school to prison pipeline, also known as school to prison link or the schoolhouse to jailhouse track, is the disproportionate tendency of minors and young adults from disadvantaged backgrounds to become incarcerated because of increasingly harsh school and municipal policies. Zero tolerance policies, a teacher's decision to refer students for punishment can mean that they are pushed out of the classroom and into prison. I don't get it.
It just means that when they're not in the classroom, they're more likely to like be on the streets doing stuff that's gonna get them in trouble.
But that's if they come out of the school.
Yeah, but the zero whatever policy, zero tolerance policy makes that happen. It kicks kids out of school and then they're on the street and doing things that they get in trouble for.
It's only about race.
Yeah, likely.
It says disadvantaged backgrounds. And the problem is policies.
It's the same story as everything else.
This wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be.
You thought it was going to be more than that?
I did.
Really? Sorry.
It's okay.
Anybody want to bring me a milkshake?
I need to find some other opinion on this. Okay, so that's why I was having problems. I thought it was about like go through school, graduate, go to prison.
No.
I thought that's what they were saying.
It's because of the policies inside the school that kick kids out.
Hmm.
do, but like, dude, I'd rather visit their friends. Saki. Shh, shh, shh. It's okay.
It's Bert. It's gotta be Bert.
Maybe he has a milkshake. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be manifesting magic.
Then I would know I was a true creator.
Zero tolerance policies. So the punitives are upscaling.
Yeah.
Black. Primarily affects blacks. Did you bring a milkshake, Brian?
What?
Did you bring a milkshake?
What do you mean? Why to bring that?
Just checking.
I want to get it.
She was hoping a milkshake would come walking in the door.
Oh.
You didn't get the memo? You gotta work on your telepathy.
I know.
I got a lot of vegetables though.
You can make a smoothie
Vegetable
instead.
shake.
Yeah.
I'm not in the mood.
So they're becoming more adept at identifying bad kids than they were before.
I think there's just more reasons to be labeled bad.
Mm. It wouldn't have anything to do with for-profit prison systems?
Of course. Has probably only to do with that.
Once suspended or expelled, data show that students are less likely to complete high school, more than twice as likely to be arrested while on forced leave from school, and more likely to be in contact with the juvenile system. Mental institution. During the year that follows the leave. In fact, sociologist sociologic person David Ramey found in a nationally representative study that experiencing school punishment before the age of 15 is associated with contact with the criminal justice system for boys. Other research shows that students who do not complete high school are more likely to be incarcerated. Military state mental hospitals. Can you give some context? I don't know what you're saying. One key sociological theory of deviance, known as the labeling theory, contends that people come to identify and behave in ways that reflect how others labeled them. Applying this theory to the school-to-prison pipeline suggests that being labeled as a bad kid by school authorities and or SROs and being treated in a way that reflects that label punitively ultimately leads kids to internalize the label and behave in ways that make it real through action. In other words, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Hey, Michelle. What do you guys think about school to prison pipeline? What does the audience say? In a social context which social institutions label deviant youth as bad or criminal, and in doing so strip them of dignity, fail to acknowledge their struggles, and do not treat them with respect. Rebellion and criminality are acts of resistance. The hot button topics are not very interesting.
They're just hot button cash words, cash keywords.
It's kind of difficult to say anything about it.
Well, to fix it, the entire school system has to be reformed.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't actually want that because they want the prisons full. And if you get them in there young, then you usually have them for life in the revolving door.
Am I taking a course? No, I just listened to an Adam Carolla show. I had never heard of the term school to prison pipeline. And I thought I might, regrettably now, but look into what the talking heads are yapping on about. It's not very interesting, though. Criminalizing youth, blah, blah, blah. School resource officers. Apparently, all it means is that schools are having stricter rules, zero tolerance policies, and it's all about race, apparently, and disenfranchised youth. It's kind of hard not to ever act out when you have to sit in the same place and do the same thing over and over and over.
Surprised I made it through.
Systemic. Hey. Saki's not learning in her school.
No, you have a zero tolerance policy.
Is she about to hop on the pipeline? I think I'm allergic to mainstream thought. It hurts my brain. It's okay.
Anybody on?
Yeah, there's 5 people. Trying to put lots of band-aids on the dam that's busting up. Still trying to manifest a milkshake?
I mean, yeah, I am.
Yep, I don't have much to say about school to prison pipelines. I didn't look into it. What is Marxism? I did study that back in the day. Do you know what Marxism is?
Just another ism.
Another ism? Is it similar to scientism?
I think it's supposed to be like distributing everything equally,
Socialism?
sort of, but not exactly.
Everyone gets to eat?
I don't know about that.
That's what socialism is.
Yeah, but that just means barely eat. Doesn't mean like actually thrive.
It means no big government.
Well, Cuba is socialist and their government is
A fancy word
all
for,
controlling.
yeah. Fancy word for communism. Groucho Marxism. Collective governmental ownership. I mean, everyone eats anyway. It's just, do they feel guilty while they're eating? Because they're stealing.
Does everyone get milkshakes?
If they're smart enough. Record keeping. Record keeping is the cause of all our woes. record keeping, and then subjective moral.
Deficiency.
The subjective moral labeling system, which goes along with that. Which says this person should be in the box and that person shouldn't be. AKA identity. AKA straw man. I spend more if I spend someone else's money. So we should all just give. We should just give each other's money. Then we'll have someone else's money, and then we'll spend more, and then the economy will increase.
Yes. We'll create jobs.
We'll create jobs. Yeah. What do you guys think about corporations in the higher dimensions? Is that a thing? Or are corporations limited to the 3D realm? Or are they actually in lower dimensions creeping up into the 3D realm?
Maybe that's what it means by the dead shall rise.
Yeah. All rise. The ladder. Is there a better topic?
Right now?
Yeah.
Probably, but
The corporate. Sophia, one of the guests I had on the 30 and 30, said something about corporations existing in the higher dimensions and that she hadn't been aware of that. I certainly had never heard of that concept.
it was Sophia, right?
It was Sophia. Sophia Maya. Hey, Toulouse. What you doing, buddy? Maybe Google will know. Ask Google if corporations exist in higher dimensions.
Should we ask Siri?
Yeah.
I don't know how to use Siri. I never did.
Hold the home button.
What am I asking?
It has to be enabled. Ask if corporations exist in higher dimensions.
Do corporations exist in higher dimensions?
I found this on the web.
Siri doesn't know anything.
Tell her she doesn't know anything.
She already knows.
Then she knows that. She's somewhat wise.
You don't know anything.
What's the difference between hive mind, collective, and corporation? Corporations are hive mind, as far as I know, as far as I can tell. Collective is also hive mind. Corporation is also hive mind. Hive mind is also collective. A corporation exists in thought form only. Like the cat doesn't know that the McDonald's building is different from the Walmart building.
Maybe it isn't. There's usually a McDonald's inside every Walmart.
Russian nesting dolls. That's how the dimensions are, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a Russian nesting doll dimension. I mean, the cats have it right. They just lay around all day. Cats and Jamaicans. All the people saying they're part of a higher collective is proof of corporation in other places. Not necessarily, they might just be saying that. It might just be wishful thinking.
Get it.
I think the hive mind phenomena can best be understood if you're thinking of yourself as your body with all of its cells, right? So if there was an individual intelligence sort of managing a hive mind, it would be like how you can focus your attention to your foot or to your eyeball or out off into the distance. And your cells are like people. They somewhat listen to you and they somewhat don't. And the like the center consciousness of the hive mind would not be in direct control of all of the individual units that make up the collective. But then you'd have to ask yourself, is each one of your molecules like a unique conscious self inside of your body? If that was the case, that would be pretty wild. The question was, what was the question? Do corporations exist in higher dimensions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's best understood in terms of our own selves and our own bodies, I think. Our body is composed of a bunch of individual cells, so we are the hive mind for that collective. So then you could say, like, if the earth itself is conscious, then all of the animals and the people and the plants would be like the cells. And the earth would be able to do some changes, but on a large sweeping scale, and it wouldn't be like the earth itself would only be capable of making so many movements. Might be getting too far out there. Well, that's all for tonight, folks. I don't know if we worked anything out or not. Maybe. See y'all's on the flip side.
Oops.
How did the strong cannabis oil help your back? My spine is still alive. I'm still alive. I just have to not drink too much alcohol and I'm good. Not drink I have to not drink too much narcissists, and I'm good. So anyway, peace.